MALKI, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants. And today this video is all about suckers, the good and the bad. And I'm starting off here with my banana plant that's behind me, and I want to share with you also the flowers that are coming out. We're happy to share that our apple banana variety, which is up above, is finally going into bloom. And for those of you that have been following me, we had some disease that was happening within the center that we cured with neem oil just a few months ago, and since then every single leaf came out in much better condition, and now we're going to get to enjoy some flowers and fruit in the next few months. So the reason that I'm standing here by the banana is to talk about suckers, and this is one variety of suckers you're going to find here in your garden. If you take a look near the base here, you'll notice that this here is the parent stalk, but right near the base of it is sucker number 1, sucker number 2, sucker number 3, sucker number 4. There's probably about 8 suckers around, and we're going to have to deal with this later. Here's another variety of banana. This here is called the Goldfinger, and this one here's got sucker number 1 over here, and sucker number 2, also known as pups. And before we go and visit other plants with suckers around them, let's take a look at the definition of a sucker. Check this out. So sucker defined, and this here I pulled up off of Google, reads, here it talks about a person or a thing that sucks, and then there's a gullible or easily deceived person. And then here's botany. A shoot springing from the base of a tree or other plant, especially one arising from the root below ground level at some distance from the main stem or trunk. And so again, now we've also got the botany word of sucker, other than the person being the sucker. So here we are with our banana suckers. Let me share a few other suckers here in the garden. Follow me. You can also have suckers at the base of your lime tree. Right here is the lime. We've got suckers coming off on the side over here. I'm hoping you can capture that in the video, as well as down below. This here is the graft line, and we've got 2 other suckers, number 1 and number 2. Let's take a look at a few others. Follow me. Now here I am at the base of my 3-in-1 apple tree, and take a look at all of these suckers. Let's go and check out some citrus. Here we are now at the base of a standard size Eureka lemon tree, and you can take a look at all of the fruit that are in here. There's about a dozen fruit just underneath my palm right here. But if you take a look at the trunk of the tree, if you come in a little closer, you'll notice that there's 1 sucker right here, a 2nd sucker over here, a 3rd sucker over here. These are all suckers of the Eureka lemon variety, as they're above the graft zone. This here is the rootstock, and right above the graft zone is all Eureka lemon. These 2 are considered the suckers as well. And now if you come around, and now here we are at the base of a kumquat. This is also grafted on a standard rootstock that we've got potted here in our container. And we also did a YouTube video, and I'll put the link to that one, where we potted this about 1.5 years ago, and you can see how well it's gone. We've enjoyed a lot of fruit during the winter season, and it just went into bloom just a few weeks ago, and it's now got some fruit. If you come and take a look at the canopy here, you'll notice that we've got some fruit up here, another fruit, we've got some blossoms happening. If you come in a little lower, there's some more fruit, more flowers, more fruit. And I would say it's supporting at least a few dozen fruit here. There's actually a nice cluster right there. So if you come towards the base, all of these, and again, I've waited too long. I've always just wish I had some more time so I can keep doing these videos as these issues occur throughout the garden. But this here's another example of suckers, and all of these are supporting these Nogami Kumquats, as again, these branches are coming from above the graft zone. And if you come a little closer, you can see that we're really close. I'm gonna actually spin the pot here so we can get the light on it. So you can take a look that the graft zone is right here. This here is the rootstock below. And then you may notice that the green color here, we actually use the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard color green on this one. It also comes in colors brown as well as white, and it's protection against damaging sunburn and insects and rodents. And we're gonna be using this formula as soon as we take care of the plant. But you can see that these suckers came right at the graft line, and if it was below, then we're gonna end up with rootstock suckers. But because it happened right above the graft zone, we've got Nogami Kumquat suckers. And again, these are supporting a lot of fruit and flowers. But again, just as the word implies, suckers are sucking the resources out of the base to the detriment of the canopy that we're trying to form up above. And as you can see, there's actually some damage happening right in here. You may notice that there's some dead wood in here as well, right here where my finger is, that we're gonna have to cut out as well. And again, that's because a lot of the resources are going to feeding these suckers rather than benefiting the higher canopy. So we're gonna have to cure that as well. And let me share one more example before we get started. Now here we are at the base of our 3-in-1 olive tree. We've grafted it with an Italian variety, the Toscana, the Greek variety, the Koroniki, as well as the Spanish variety, the Manzanilla variety of olives. So we've got 3 varieties of olives that we would not have been able to accomplish had it not been for the suckers. If you take a look down below, we've always got these suckers that are happening here, but now we're gonna have to control the flow of these suckers so it's not taking resources, energy away from the selected variety of grafted olives that we have up above. We're gonna discuss that right now. So let's get started with banana suckers. They're also known as pups and daughters, daughters being their exact clones off the parent plant. By removing these lower suckers, we can create more genetically identical plants to this parent plant that's up above. And I wanted you to stand there so you can take a look up above. We're finally gonna enjoy our second bunch of ice cream banana plants off of what's also known more scientifically as the blue Java banana. Check out that flower up above. I'm hoping you can see it. Unfortunately, we also have, I'm going to share with you in just a minute, the apple variety or the Manzanilla variety of bananas that's also gone into bloom. And here we are again, the second week of August, and it's blooming. And on average, from the time it blooms to enjoying ripe bananas is about a 90-day process. So we've now got August, the full month of August, September, and October. And here in Southern California, even November is still typically warm enough, and there's enough metabolism happening within the plant that they could potentially ripen. So we've got an excellent chance of enjoying ripe bananas, unlike last year when this plant went into bloom in September. It didn't ripen in time and it had to wait through winter before we got to enjoy these bananas this last spring. So we're eager to hopefully enjoy bananas off of this prior to winter this go around. What I wanted to share with you down below, if you take a look here, you'll see that the ice cream banana plant that we enjoyed this last spring came off of this parent plant, which is right back here where my palm is. I'm hoping you can capture that. But right behind it, if you come in a little closer, if you come around, there's another sucker that we'll never get to enjoy, as this will be too difficult to remove as it's coming out of the side of the parent plant. So what we're gonna do here with our knives, we just simply take a knife, we're just gonna saw at it like so. And by removing the sucker, we've even got a root. I wasn't expecting that. Typically you gotta go a little deeper to get roots, but we're gonna now have the pleasure of planting this and making some more ice cream bananas out of this pup. So, what I wanted to show you, which is gonna be more likely to convert into more banana plants that I can gift with my friends and family, will be this one, as it's about a foot away from the tree trunk. This is gonna be a lot easier to pull out and extract and gather enough roots that will more likely than not result in successful banana plants. And if you take a look, there's gonna be some more suckers around the corner. One more right here where my finger is, another one right there, and a taller one right there. And there's about 5 or 6 in the vicinity of this plant. But when it comes to suckers, we're not gonna remove any suckers when there's fruiting and flowering happening up above, as this will add stress to the parent plant, and we don't want to harm the plant as it's going through the process of fruiting and flowering. So these will all be steps we'll take in regards to extracting these pups, and these suckers come later on, later on into the fall season. Let me share with you a couple more examples. So this here is an amaryllis, but just behind it, if you take a look, are the suckers of now the apple variety of banana. And you can see that this one here has got about 6 or 7. Once this parent plant, which I've got my hand on behind, provides the fruit and we harvest the fruit, we're then going to take out the parent plant, separate the pups. We will allow 1 to 2 of the pups to remain to then create what will be next year's fruit harvest. But all the excess ones will then be potted and again, gifted with friends and family. But what I want to share with you, and I'm also excited about, is this too also went into flower. If you go up a little higher, we're hoping you can capture that bloom right above my head. You can see that it's got that reddish flower, and that there will be going into bloom within the next week, and hopefully sharing some apple variety bananas with our friends and family pretty soon. So here we are now at our bear's line. The suckers, as we discussed with that kumquat earlier, also need to be removed. If you take a look where my finger is, there's a couple of small suckers. The kumquat also suckers started off pretty small, and at this point I can just take my finger and rub those out like so. And there's a third one right up in this vicinity as well, and we're going to take that out as well. Let's take a look at some more. So here's our 3-in-1 apple variety. We've got the stems coated in colors brown Ivy Organics, green Ivy Organics, and white Ivy Organics. And these are 3 grafted varieties of apples, whereas the bottom are just the rootstock. The rootstock controls the height of the plant as well as offers disease resistance. And so you can see that all of these suckers over here, if the plant had a choice to support the grafted variety or these suckers, the roots are going to select the suckers over the grafts. As this is itself, whereas these are foreign to the root. So the root is going to support itself over the grafts, and to prevent that from happening, we're going to have to remove the suckers to make sure all of that energy from the root system goes and supports the selected variety of apples we want here in our garden. The first thing to do, instead of just simply cutting these out, the best practice is, if you know that they're going down into the soil, is to try to pull them out. But I'm taking a look now to see if they're going into the dirt or if they're in fact attached to the tree trunk. If you come in a little closer, I'm hoping you can take a step over here. You'll see what I'm talking about. So this sucker over here, you can see is attached to the tree trunk right there where my finger is. With this case, we're going to have to simply prune it as close as we can to the tree trunk like so. Whereas this is growing out of the soil, so it's running a little deeper, and I may be lucky in getting some roots when I pull on it. And here it is. So this here pretty much severed right at the root. Sometimes I'm successful in getting some roots with that. And now we're going to continue the process around. So you can see we've done a combination of pruning and pulling, and sometimes when you're lucky with the pulling, you may result in additional apple trees as we've created over here. If you take a look, all of these apples that are here in the pot have all been created from suckers that in the future I'll be able to graft as I've done over here. And this also is coated with the Ivy Organics, and I can now graft it with, this here is the rootstock that I cut off at this point, and I've grafted it here with a selected variety and flavor of apples that's growing off of this stem. And I'll include that video so you can see how we've accomplished that just earlier this year. We are back to the 3-in-1 olive variety. If you come in a little closer, you'll take a look at these suckers down below, and as we just explained, the reason for removing the suckers is to make sure that the energy is not diverted into the suckers. So again, we're going to prune it as close as we can to the tree trunk, so eventually the tree trunk will expand over those suckers. The smaller ones we can just rub off with our fingers, and the goal is we're trying to divert the energy from the root into these supporting branches, as these 3 branches, to then ultimately feed these grafted varieties and flavors of olives. And let's go check out this last one now. So here we are now back at the Nogami Kumquat, and it's going to be harder now to prune these, now seeing all these beautiful delicious fruit, and they're actually looking better here than they are in the upper canopy, again size wise, quality wise, everything wise. Again, because it's so close to the rootstock, but we're going to have to remove it so we don't compromise the upper structure. So here we go. And take a look at that here. We're going to just prune it as close as we can to the tree trunk. So as the trunk expands, it'll heal over these open wounds. And we're just going to clean up these lower ones as they're protruding just a little bit. So we're going to try to get that in a little bit closer. And the same thing over here. And there we go. And now we're just gonna take our Ivory Organics 3-in-1 plant card, color green, and we're just gonna go here with our brush, and we're gonna coat the tree trunk to protect it from damaging sunburn. These branches that were once here, and naturally a citrus would be very bushy in structure and shading the lower structure of the tree trunk and branches to prevent sunburn, as the citrus bark is relatively thin compared to other varieties of trees. So once these branches were offering some shade, whereas now it's completely exposed to too much sunlight. So we're gonna coat that now, and while I finish this, I want you to check out this video of a orange tree that we visited in North Hollywood just about 6 months ago, where someone pruned a branch allowing too much light into the lower canopy, and check out the damage that caused to the tree. Check this one out. And let me show you why. Take a look underneath what happened here. And right here was the branch that was pruned, and you can see how large it was. It was at least 20, possibly 30 years old right here, and this went up and out in the direction of the swimming pool, and that was probably the reason it was pruned. And then take a look at what happened underneath. Look at the bark, how it's peeling. All of this is dead skin. If this was your body, this would be your skin coming on, and it goes all the way down, all the way down, all of that damage. Take a look at those cracks. These are 3rd-degree burns on a plant, and I don't know if anyone has ever described this as 3rd-degree burns, but this is a 3rd-degree plant burn. The epidermis, the dermis, and it's damaged all the way to where the wood is. So this is now a perfect entryway for termites and wood-boring beetles to get into the tree and start hollowing out the center of the plant. The other thing I want to point out here is the sun, and it'll be out here in about the next hour, is shining on this side of the plant. If you were to go around back, I don't know if you can work your way around with the camera, you'll notice that this entire back side of the plant is not damaged. And this is the side that's actually now bringing the sugars and the juices and all the life-giving support is coming from the back side, the shaded part of the plant. And what we're gonna do here today is actually coat and protect this part of the plant, and actually for cosmetic, we'll actually even paint the backside as well so it all looks uniform. But we're gonna cover this with a product called Ivory Organics. The dissolved. I want to show you one other orange tree that's to my left here. So here we are under another orange tree, and this here is a very successful orange tree, as indicated by it's got an amazing canopy. It's loaded with fruit and a lot of young fruit as well. And there's probably several hundred fruit up above my head. And what impresses me so much about this plant is you can actually see the tree trunk here is actually in excellent condition. And again, that's only because it's in the shade. You want to make sure you grow your trees where they are actually shading and protecting the branches and the tree trunk. And you'll notice over here on this branch that I'm touching that there's actually damage over here. And even though we're in the shade of the tree, there was a time, once upon a time, that there was, and you can see there's like a little bit of light here in this part right now, but there must have been a hole in the canopy that allowed too much light to hit this branch, and the branch actually cracked. So if you're in your garden, take a look at these signs, and before it gets this severe, this will actually take probably a decade to heal. So if you actually caught these issues, and if you take a look a little lower, I'll find another thing that's less severe. You'll actually see over here there's like some cracking in the bark. Over here it looks like there's a wound with some sap that's coming out of it, but this is a wound that later on we're actually going to open it up to remove all the dead wood, and you can see it's already starting to callus right around there. And so rather than keeping this dead wood, which would be again food for the termites and the beetles and wood destroying organisms that might start here and then work their way into this wood and then work their way into the heart of the tree, we're going to remove that, and then we're just going to brush some Ivory Organics over this wound as well, so that we basically repel any insects from getting into the heart of the tree. So now if you come around back, I just want to make one other quick point. But as you can see, the tree trunk is now completely coated. All of the exposed surfaces, it's really just the south side of the plant that is most exposed to sunlight. Whereas the north side in the northern hemisphere is typically protected from sun damage. Whereas if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's just the opposite. It's the northern side of your tree that's exposed to the most amount of light, especially the northeastern side, whereas in the northern hemisphere, it's the southwest side that is most intense with sunlight. But I want to show you something on the back side when it comes to the graft. If you come around. So over here is the graft zone. I wish I didn't coat it completely with the paint. this Ivory Organics 3-in-1 plant guard, but right here is all exposed wood, and it's been exposed since it was originally grafted. But you can see that as the plant expands, it'll eventually heal over this exposed wood, which is a beautiful entryway for wood-boring insects such as beetles and termites. So what we're going to do with the tree guard is we're just going to seal that, and what it has in this product is this. If we take a look here, is it's got these 7 natural oils, which include castor oil, cinnamon oil, clove oil, cedarwood oil, garlic oil, peppermint oil, and rosemary oil. And all of these oils naturally defend and protect the plant from insects. So the product is serving as a whitewash. It's color green. It's also available in colors brown as well as white. So by using colors green and brown, it'll offer at least the customer a more aesthetically pleasing color. White naturally reflects the most amount of light, but no matter what the color is, it's going to naturally protect your plant just like any other whitewash product would. So again, we've done this in an organic way, and you can also do this in an aesthetically pleasing and beautiful way as well. It's a deadwood. There is no right and wrong season. If you see deadwood, you need to remove it. If you come in a little closer, as we shared earlier, if you take a look within the canopy, there's all of this deadwood that's in here. We got to prune that out like so. I'm just going to cut it out as close as we can to the living stems. And we're being careful not to knock out any of the fruit around it, but we're just cleaning it up like so. And aside from it looking a lot better, as now we're looking at only green parts, but by removing that deadwood, we've now removed potential entryways for, again, more termites and beetles and other wood destroying organisms from entering the other woody parts of the plant. So here I am in the garden with these Double Delight beautiful roses here behind me. I hope you've enjoyed this educational moment by Ivory Organics, and if so, be sure to like it, and most importantly, by subscribing below, you'll be connected to this and all the other educational gardening videos, and I'm going to share a few of the most relevant videos that we've discussed in this one right here at the end of this video, as well as in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening.